Hello, my babes. Welcome back to my channel, the Self Love Template, where we are up leveling our lives in all of the ways that we know we have needed to for a while now. And I want to introduce this video. This is a interview that I did with one of my really dear friends, Zariah. She has her own YouTube channel called Time to Shine, which I highly recommend checking out. I'm going to link her below as well as everyone else that we talk about in this episode. So, this is a new installment called the Self Love Diaries. And basically, I just want to have amazing women in the hot seat with me where we can talk about all things self love relative to their own process, their own journey, their own identity, and you can glean the gems of wisdom that they are bringing to the table. So, without further ado, I'm gonna let the video get started here, and I hope you really enjoy it. I know that you will. And it's one of many discussions that we will definitely have with Zariah. Um, I was just so excited to do this series and so excited to have her on as a guest. And I'm so excited to share this with you guys. So, again, I know you're going to enjoy it. Can't wait for you guys to watch and look below for any of the links to all of the stuff that we mention in this episode. All right, my beauties, my babes, I'll see you on the flip side. Well, welcome, Zariah, to the Self Love Template, where we are up leveling our lives in all the ways that we know we've needed to for a while. I'm super excited
Yes.
to have you here.
Thank you.
Um,
I'm
you're
very
welcome.
excited to talk to you.
Yeah, no, I just think you have such an amazing vibe, an amazing story, and we have to share it with all the women out there. That's my goal.
Thanks, Queen. And like, it's so amazing that you created this space too, because like, honestly, right back at you, you have an amazing vibe and an amazing story. And I'm just so happy that we had the opportunity to meet and get to know each other through, like, obviously, like Roxy. So
Yeah.
I just kind of want to put that out there. Like, anybody who does not know Roxy and Sophia, you need to know her. She cultivates groups of amazing women. And that is how Victoria and I actually met, is through Roxy and Sophia and her community, which used to be called Queendom, and now it's called the Courage Club. So check her out.
Yeah, we can, I guess, link her below. And I'll shout her out so maybe she can even comment below herself and like get everybody to come to her space. Because, yeah, I think it would be cool if people even wanted to join too, if they feel compelled to join. We do like a writing group. I like that's kind of like what I refer to it as, but like she does she has a bunch of digital journals, but then they also have a group like our Courage Club group where she puts like quarterly writing challenges, right? That's like the best way to describe it.
Yeah, and they're like daily writing prompts that she sends out, and it's just really giving us the ability to go even deeper and get further in touch with ourselves, like through, I don't know, it's easy just to sit and be like, oh yeah, I have a relationship with myself, but it's another level. And I see it in your writing all the time where you actually like write it out and you're like, oh bro, this is actually super deep and super legit, and I had no idea that this type of stuff was going to come out of me. That's my
Mm.
personal experience, at least. Like,
Yeah,
it
no,
just, like you said,
it
it levels up.
yeah, it levels you up and it like you said gets you to know yourself better, I think, and know parts of yourself that you didn't know were there. And then you're like it's a safe space to also be able to share with like-minded women like Zariah and myself who are gonna hold space for that, even though it's like a really vulnerable share, so to speak. Um, but yeah, I think definitely check that out. And obviously, writing has helped both of us in our self-love journey. So I'm gonna let you take it away with whatever, however you want to share. I don't know, like I have some questions prepared for later, but if you have something prepared that you wanted to open up with, I would love to hear about your self-love journey today. That's why we have you here.
Yeah, yeah. So just in the context of continuing to be super vulnerable, like that's how I've found that I'm able to express myself really well, and it feels, I don't know, just it feels right for me to be like that. And in the past, I would never have talked about any of this stuff and I would have kept it all hidden. But essentially, my journey into self-love was started from me basically hitting rock bottom with my eating disorder. So having that literal come to Jesus meeting, as you would call it, where I was like, oh my God, I'm for sure going to die if this continues. And through that experience of just being at the lowest with the eating disorder is when I actually heard myself for the first time in a very long time. And it was like this little voice, and I'm sitting on the sofa just crying, wondering like how things got this bad when really I knew. And I just heard this little voice inside me, and it was, Zariah, I don't want to die. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to die either. I don't want us to die. And that was just literally the start of everything. That was the start of all the times that I tried to recover in the past and I had been unsuccessful. That's when it all started to stop, right there. And the actual changes started to get made because I had decided that, oh, the missing component in this whole thing is me. It's the missing component is the relationship that I have with myself, which is virtually non-existent. I have not been with myself for years and years and years, and I've essentially given all of my time, energy, including, like mental and emotional and spiritual energy, to an eating disorder and literally helping it thrive throughout my entire life and just completely neglecting myself. So with the realization of that and seeing that, okay, I either am going to continue to do everything that I've been doing, which obviously has not been working, or I'm going to actually have to figure out how to love myself and put myself first and break the ties with the eating disorder. That has to happen, or my next stop on this like trajectory of life is literally my death. So that's how everything got amplified, and me starting into the space of like, what does it even mean to like myself, know myself, let alone love myself and figure out who I am. And I think anybody who's gone on the journey to self-love can attest that, there's stages to it, and it's a journey. It just doesn't happen like overnight or within a month. It's, you have to actually like work towards it. And actually, one thing that I wanted to point out, because I think it kind of makes it easy to think about, like, oh, yeah, I can love myself. That's fine. But how do you do it? You know what I mean? Like, look at it as a goal, because I was watching one of your videos with the no spend video. And you're like, what's your why? Like your goal, what's your why? And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's what we have to do with recovery and getting to a place of self-love. Like, what's your goal and what's your why? Because if you don't have those things, and that is literally for everything, then you're not gonna be able to get to the end goal of what you ultimately want. You have to keep like coming back to that.
So what did you determine your why was? Just that you wanted to hold on to your life and thriving in it, or was there other components to that?
So my literal goal was to be fully recovered from the eating disorder and learn how to love, trust, accept, and fully love myself. And when I made that goal, it was probably about maybe like 3 months into the final recovery that I did from the eating disorder. So I had been like pretty strong in it and like doing all the recovery based behaviors and creating the new neural pathways and doing pretty well with the recovery. And then I'm like, this is the extra step that I have to like amplify with
So
the
you were
self-love
already,
component.
oh, say the last part again. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Like I had to, so I was already in like three months ish of recovery and feeling strong, like when I made this goal of be fully recovered and in love with myself. Like that was the missing component, like going hand to hand. And basically just getting to the point where I'm actually implementing the self-love practices and having that as part of the goal in addition to like eating disorder recovery.
So when you had that come to Jesus moment on the couch and you were like, if I don't make a change, I'm going to literally perish. Like, how long between then and when you sought help? So you're saying, like, I guess, how long between that moment when you sought help and then that moment and when you started to embody a self-love practice of any kind?
It was probably like 3 months.
So that's
So,
what you.
I mean, I immediately sought help for the eating disorder recovery, and it had occurred to me that I'm the missing component, but I didn't fully like have all the tools to start like embodying that. So I was doing like some of the things, but the recovery was the primary focus. And then when I had found Roxy and she was basically just saying, can teach you how to love yourself, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna actually listen to this woman because she really sounds like she knows what she's talking about. And the first podcast that I had heard of hers, she actually had one of her guests on, was recovered from an eating disorder. So I'm like,
Wow.
okay, yeah. And I'm like, I think everything definitely happens for a reason. And when I had heard her, I was just like, wow, she really, like, she's not judgmental. She knows how to talk to her. And the woman she had on, her name is Kara. She's super inspiring, and just being able to relate to, okay, she's been where I've been. If this woman can recover, and this other woman, Roxy, who's so strong and so supportive and so kind and doesn't even come at anything with a judgmental lens, if there's people out there that like literally get it and they understand the self-love component, then I know I can eventually get to that place.
So the first time you discovered Roxy, it was through that episode, or you
Yeah.
found her? Okay. So how did you were just like, how did you find her? Do you remember? Or
Yeah. I was getting ready to go on vacation and I had saturated literally all of the Joe Rogan episodes. And I'm like, I need something else. And her, gosh, what was it called back in the day? Black Belt Beauty.
Mhm.
It was called Black Belt Beauty. And I saw that and I was like, well, that sounds interesting because my husband does jujitsu. And I'm like, okay, beauty, Black Belt. Okay, what's she got to offer? And so I clicked on it and it was literally that episode.
Wow.
Was the one with Kara and her going over her eating disorder recovery. And I just really liked the person that Roxy was in that moment with her. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then I started checking more stuff out about her, and I found her, I think it's the 5S course, her course to self-love. So I did that, and that was kind of like a little roadmap. And then more of the pieces just started coming together, and actually making them practices and then embodying the self-love. And that's kind of how it all got started.
That's really awesome. It's so synchronous that like just it's like you stumbled upon it, like very
Yeah.
serendipitously. And
Yeah.
like I don't know, are you like what's your like faith background, if you don't mind me asking? Like
None really.
you just like believe in
Yeah.
the universe and stuff like that. Like so it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
interesting.
Agnostic.
Right, agnostic. Just curious. Like, but like I'm a God person, but like, I've, the universe too. Like it's just really awesome that something or someone was looking out for you and like kind of dropped that in your lap. And then,
Yes.
like, cause I know for me it was through Emily Hayden, because she had Roxy as a guest on her podcast. And then that led me to do a lot of her, like what you're talking about, her little mini courses that were like free and stuff. And it was for me always the writing part of it that really like just got me going. Like it just helped me to see things in ways that I wasn't really capable of seeing without that like prompting. And I did listen to the podcast, and I do. It's not like I never listened to it or something like that, but like I definitely have not listened to every single episode. And like for me, it's like her Substack and the writing stuff, and then being a part of like all of you guys. Like that's where I'm like blown away, and just it's pretty awesome that through Emily, like I was led to Roxy and then now to you, and like we have a burgeoning friendship and stuff like that, and all the other women, and like Queendom back when we were doing that, like with the Future Self course and all that stuff, like it's just been so much metamorphosis, and I just think it's so amazing that something or someone was definitely looking out for both of us. And it's amazing that Roxy, and I know I always say it, but it is just really awesome that she gives us this platform, to do
Yeah.
this. So that's really amazing and serendipitous um that you basically like stumbled on it, and then here we are, like all these years later.
I
So
know.
how,
Yeah, the
yeah.
universe like definitely led me to her. And I mean, there is something at work that is, providing the path for me for sure.
Well, like Roxy says, you are the path, right?
Oh, that's so true. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
but
one of
I mean,
her
something
favorite
helping me
quotes.
along the way.
Yes, no, for sure, for sure. Um, so what did it start to look like for you in those humble beginnings when you were starting to kind of like figure it out, like how to do whatever your self-love practice was going to start to look like at that point, I guess?
It kind of looked like, honestly, habit formation. So I don't know if that sounds crazy, but
No, not at
I
all.
had found, yes or no? Sorry.
I said not at all. It doesn't sound
Okay,
crazy at
okay,
all.
good.
Imagine I'm all like,
Good. I'm
that
like,
sounds
oh no.
insane.
Like it might be a little weird. But okay,
Not at
so
all.
like when I was recovering from the eating disorder, I'm sorry, when I was recovering from the eating disorder, I had to use little habits to get me to the big goal, right, of recovery. So then I'm like, oh, all right, well, when I'm trying to create this relationship with myself, I need to use little habits to get me to the big goal of loving myself, having the relationship with myself. And that would look like validating myself. That's something I was never good at. I always sought external validation. And it also showed up very, very largely in forming a kind relationship internally with myself, like via self talk and how I would communicate with myself. And that was very difficult for me because for years I didn't have that. Like I didn't have the inner critic of like it was me being mean to me. It was like the eating disorder being mean to me. And then it was constantly like fighting back at the eating disorder. Like those thoughts would come in and be like, no, I don't know who you are, but you cannot talk to me like this anymore, kind of situation. Like learning to advocate for myself mentally. And again, that might sound crazy, but it worked for me. Just being able to talk back and like, you can't tell me these mean things. I'm not gonna accept it. Like, I'm not here for it. I'm here because I've decided that I am love, and that's just what I want to be about now. I don't want to be controlled by an eating disorder. I want to actually love myself and respect myself. And yeah, I mean, the self-talk was just imperative for me. And then now I look at it and I kind of think about it because I don't really have to do that much. It's just there. And I think it's just there, like an internal kindness dialogue or supportive dialogue, because I had done it so much, so frequently, and I had to use self-awareness like all the time to the point where it was exhausting to just fully be aware of like, how are you talking to yourself? How are you treating yourself? Wow, is that respectful? Do you trust yourself? Like literally asking myself this all the time, and just having to also hold myself accountable. I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess I do need to choose the more like loving action right now instead of my old previous coping mechanisms or thought patterns that are not going to be serving me anymore. So those are two tools that I used, and it was kind of just a lot of habit building of being kind to myself, really, and supportive.
Yeah, I mean, I think the habits and the discipline, like all of that is part of self-love too, like so what made you how did you begin to understand that you were worth doing that stuff for yourself, or that you were worth the effort it was going to take for you to repetitively have to catch yourself and distance yourself from your thoughts or the old identities and things like that? Like, how did you bolster that ability to keep showing up for yourself like that?
I think because I just knew that I wanted to actually have a life that I enjoyed and that I was joyful to be in, and just wanting to get to that point, because I knew it was possible, and I knew that there couldn't be anything worse for me than almost dying from the eating disorder, and just literally, I mean, being controlled by it for years. It just got to a point where, I mean, it was so mentally and physically exhausting that I couldn't ever really allow myself to go back to that state, because I was never suicidal, but it did get to the point where it would be like 8 o'clock at night and I'd have the thought of like, well, this isn't even worth it anymore. Like, why am I even awake? Like, I should just go to bed, because the rest of my thoughts are literally going to be centered around everything that the eating disorder wants me to do to keep it going and thriving. And it would just get worse every day. I mean, it would escalate. It always, ups the ante. So just knowing that it was either like show up and love yourself because you deserve a life that you want to be living, or retreat and go back to the eating disorder. I think that's kind of what kept me going. And I mean, I was engaged and getting married at the time, and I just wanted to, like, I don't know, be really present and not have a third wheel, like the eating disorder as a third wheel in the relationship anymore. And I mean, it's nothing, my husband was not aware of anything until the come to Jesus moment on the sofa where I'm crying. Like, that's where I told him, what had been going on. So it was all news to him. And I'm just, I was thinking like, I don't want this in my life anymore. Like, no, literally one other person knew at that point. And it was just kind of like, I can't keep doing this, because it's not worth it.
So where do you think that was all coming from? Like, you succumbing to this really like self-harmful thing? Like, what do you think prompted it to get to that low of a point where you would like abuse yourself like that?
Yeah, honestly, I think that it was just the aware of it being there for so long, because I think, okay, so like when you have an eating disorder, like it doesn't start off as, hey, I'm here to kill you. You know what I mean? Like, it gets to that point because that's the eating disorder. In my opinion, that's the end goal, right? Is to end your life and rob you of all your joy. That's how I view it. But when I was little, like 11, and started having these thoughts that were eating disorder thoughts just coming out of nowhere, and then having the behaviors, it almost felt good. It was like coping mechanisms, and it was like feelings of accomplishment. And so what I'm trying to say is, like, the eating disorder doesn't start off as like big, bad, and scary. It starts off as like, this isn't that bad. And it actually, like, I'm somehow getting, again, I know this sounds crazy. Somehow you are literally getting like a dopamine hit slash reward from the behaviors that you're doing because you're being successful in them. And then you do a little bit more and you're great at it. And it's like, I was really good at having an eating disorder. So it felt really good. Like, I was doing the things, I was succeeding. And it's not like I was neglecting everything completely in my life. I mean, I've had that eating disorder since I was like 11-ish, that age range, until literally, like, I count my full recovery, like when I'm fully recovered, as my 33rd birthday, because that's when I really was like fully in love with myself.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's like a really long time to have something just like there with you. And every single year it gets worse and worse and worse. And then, um, then you try it, like, throughout that, all of that time period, I would try to recover, and I'd be recovered for a little bit, or it'd be like pseudo recovery. And then there'd be relapses, and there was never full recovery in that time span. So it's just, you also get to the point where it feels wrong not to do the things. And that's honestly where I think a lot of people get stuck, because yeah, I didn't want to have an eating disorder, but my brain had done the things that the eating disorder wanted me to do for so long that it was either second nature, or even the thought of not doing them provoked a lot of anxiety and fear, to the point where I couldn't even move forward. And like an example would be like, it was almost impossible for me to eat breakfast. Like at one point in my life, it was literally almost impossible. The thought of it. So, and for anybody else, it's like, just dude, just eat breakfast. But I for real, like, could not, because of the eating disorder and all of the things that would happen. And then if I would eat breakfast, then it would be a compensation of like, okay, how do I get rid of these calories? Or, you know what I mean? So it'd be like additional compensation on top of already trying to restrict, and then just using further eating disorder tactics to get rid of what I had already like taken in.
So it's just like a lot of control mechanisms, it seems like.
Yeah.
And like you said, like dopamine for going through the behaviors that enabled you to have some semblance of control. So, I mean, do you feel like it was just like messaging that we received as like kids or something, or like societally, or was there like someone in your life who was making you feel that way about yourself, or
There
um
was no one making me feel that way about myself. I do think that there's like a genetic component to it, because my grandma had an eating disorder that I was aware of. And like later on, when I was like late teens, she had told me and whatnot. And then one of the women that had helped me recovered, like just through her YouTube videos, and she has a book. Her name's Tabitha Farrar. She talks about just how, you know, this isn't something that like is caused necessarily like by how you were brought up or your parents or anything like that, but it's like once you get to, I'm not going to do this justice, but kind of like if you get underweight, like it just kind of clicks on, like it's, there's a genetic component to it, and I feel like that's what happened to me. And I say that because I had recovered, and I had a tiny relapse because of like getting COVID and losing my sense of taste and smell. And it, girl, was literally like a freaking light switch went off. Like, it's like, oh, we know what to do. Bing. And it was just like, what the hell? So I think like there's definitely like a mental or genetic kind of component or something, just with the sense of losing the sense of taste and smell, just completely like reignited it. But the good news is I had been recovered, so that relapse didn't even really happen. It was like, oh my God, this is happening. And it can go this way, or I can continue to get over it. And I mean, I'm just very thankful that I had the tools to make it through, because it was a very strong compulsion of like, yeah, let's just completely go back to exactly where we were.
so from so the total recovery period, how long was your total recovery period?
From like my, when I say like my 33rd birthday and like being in love with myself kind of
Yeah, I
thing.
guess if that's like the finish point and then the come to Jesus moment was like the start point, right?
Oh yeah. Probably a year and a half,
That's
maybe
amazing.
longer. It,
But
I mean, yeah, it still took like a really long time though. I wish it could have gone faster, but it just, it didn't.
right, but why would it? I mean, you carried that with you for 20 something years, right? Like 22 years or something.
Yeah.
So it's not going to go away overnight. You know what I mean? I think it's amazing that you were
Yeah.
able to make serious and drastic changes within a year and a half. I mean, that's kudos to you and how strong you are. And underneath that facade of that eating disorder persona who was maybe trying to control you, like you are far stronger than it. And I think that's something that you deserve accolades and kudos for, because it's amazing. Like you're such a strong, beautiful
Yep.
woman. And that, like, I mean, to make those changes in that fast of a time, like I know for you it probably felt long, but like from an outsider and knowing some of the things that I've had to overcome, like yeah, a year and a half is fast. It's definitely fast. So
Thank
good on
you.
you. Yeah, no problem. No
Thanks.
problem.
I, definitely taught me, like, through the process, I learned how to be resilient and very adaptable and, you know, more flexible, because the eating disorder kind of gave me this, like, if anything bad happens, I would shatter. So
Right.
there's just so much that I had to learn how to cope with, and, have new tools and tactics of, like, literally just how to manage stress, because it was a coping mechanism that I utilized for so long, was just the eating disorder behaviors. And I
Right.
just kept it fueling, and, being stuck in it and afraid to not do the things because of how I would feel if I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I think underneath all of like addiction or disordered behaviors and things like that, I think all of it has to do with control, and your whatever that narrative inside of your mind that's feeding that identity into you, it is trying to control you, and you do have to distance yourself from it. And I know for me, like with um not so much like my addiction journey, but like with the other like mental emotional components that I was dealing with, like as a result of that, and maybe because of definitely because of like the addiction, like distancing myself from those identities was always really hard, and or felt really hard to me. And then even now, like as much as I'm way stronger than I've ever been, like I do notice times where that identity tries to creep in and try to like say something, speak up, but I think also you have to just allow that identity to exist there until it doesn't, like let the dead bury the dead kind of thing. And if it's coming to try to say some ish to you, like you have to just be like, you could say what you want, but like I'm not gonna give in to what you're saying. I'm not gonna believe it. I'm not going, like you were saying before, it's like it's exactly that. It's just being like, I'm not going to sit down and entertain this or put it on like a jacket that I'm gonna wear around in my brain, so to speak. Like, you're like, I'm gonna just leave you over here to your own devices. You can say whatever you want. You can yell it at me with an like a megaphone or something, but I refuse to give in to that. Can you hear that noise, or I don't know? All
No.
right,
Mm-mm.
cool. So yeah, it's a lot of it, I think, is just like becoming this new healthy version of yourself, and then sustaining her and building her up and celebrating her.
Yes, and I think, like, the celebration is such a huge component too. And I really appreciate, like, you saying that it's successful, that, I was able to do that in a year and a half, because even now, I was like, oh man, I wish it didn't take that long. And then I have to, like, take myself back to, girl, you did so much work. And
Yeah.
it was so freaking hard. And it would have been so much easier to have not dealt with any of it, to have not learned any new coping mechanisms, to have not, like, created a new neural space and just, like, state of harmony within myself. And I did all the hard work. Like, and if it takes, even 10 years or 20 years for someone, like, you're learning from it, and you're going to be better off from it. And just, there's a better me in the future still. You know what I mean? Like, the journey is not done. The journey from eating disorder recovery is done, but the journey with, like, self-love and, like, creating still who I want to be and what I want to accomplish and the experiences I want to have, like, that's always going to be ongoing, but it literally starts from within.
Amen to that, man. Well, on that note, let me go into some of these other questions that I prepared for you. Would that be good? Okay. Okay, so what do you think are the top 3 non-negotiables when it comes to your self-love practice?
Making time for myself and spending time with myself, where I can actually, like, go deep with me. And that looks like meditation, and honestly, just anything that is kind of like relaxing, in the sense, meditation, journaling, and just creating that space for me, because I used to neglect that. And like I was afraid of me and what was inside, and I didn't want to spend the time with it. But now I'm like, hey, I really like you. In fact, I love you. So I
Yeah.
want to like sit down and hear what else you have to say and what's going on, and like just here we have space together, because there's always so much in life, right? I mean, we're doing stuff until we die, so we might as well like spend time with ourselves and really like, hey, what do you want to do? What do you think about this? How are you feeling? It's that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. So that is one non-negotiable. um and I'm sorry, remind me the question. Three self-love practices.
Yeah, your three non-negotiables when it comes to your self-love practice.
Okay. um let's
Your
see, my
top three.
second one would probably be really how I talk to myself. So like I kind of mentioned that before, but that's actually, I think that's a self-love practice, like for
Yeah.
me. Like, so yeah, that's a non-negotiable. Am I always successful at it? Not 100% of the time, but I do have support from my husband where, he's able to kind of like come in and assist with like, hey, we don't need to go down the rabbit hole. Like, this is not worst case scenario. And I guess along with that, like the self-talk would also be like, for me personally, is not allowing myself to go in the rabbit hole, because that used to be a very detrimental spot for me. And I would literally wake up in the morning and be like, let's jump right in and just spend my entire day with the worst case scenario and all the things that could go wrong. And it's very interesting for me to like just be able to see myself and how I'm like, oh, I'm calm, and hey,
Mhm.
I'm just doing, and I'm just being, and I'm good with it. And yeah, that I have to like talk to myself a lot to, make sure that I'm not creeping back or like taking a look into the rabbit hole or anything.
So what's your third one?
Third one would be, hmm, I'm not really sure.
That's
I don't
okay.
know. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm kind of just wondering if this is just because I maybe, I guess, like not non-negotiable. Okay, self-love. How I take care of myself, like mentally and physically. Um, Nourishing my body, like really, that's very important to me, as well as my mind. And I'm very, very aware of the information that like I allow to come in. So, I'm very selective of like well, I'm not on social media because yikes. I'm also, yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel happy being off of it.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I also, yeah, right. It's just, so, so like protecting the mental landscape, like that for me is self-love. And then nourishing my body through like, that's very important to me, right? Like a person who's recovered, like I have to make it a priority to eat nourishing foods that are going to love on and respect my body and just help me be healthy. And I don't mean that as like taken out of context of like like disordered eating where it's like, oh, you can't eat these unhealthy things. No, I mean like have a normal and healthy relationship with food, but like primarily like focus on like what is actually going to be good for my body and do things for me that are gonna like nourish me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Those are, yeah, to me, those are, and also like, I don't know, one of my friends, Anya, um, Vivarelli, she's also like a huge self-love proponent, and she always poses it that those types of physical things are like the foundational aspect of your self-love.
Mhm.
Like you, like for people who are like starting somewhere from scratch with self-love, it's like really getting those physiological things in check and really like polished, where you're like getting really great sleep, you're exercising, you're hydrating, you're eating nourishing foods like you're saying, like hygiene, things like that. Like some people, and I know I've been there, so like preaching to the choir here, but like when you're like that in self-loathing and self-deprecation, like you can be really far removed from those types of things. So even for people who are just like, where do I begin? It's like getting those types of things into check are foundational, and they're what actually give you like the ability to like, they're like a springboard for your other self-love things, and just taking care of your responsibilities and stuff like through your life. Because if you're well taken care of, then you can take care of your life and your loved ones like better, you know.
Yeah. And I think like for me, that's why the eating disorder recovery was like, that was the footwork. And like I had to do the recovery with that. And then the self-love practices were able to like, you know, really come in and start that relationship. Cause like you're saying, it is the groundwork and it's like fundamental. You kind of have to have those basics covered. But
Yeah,
again, like that's stuff, you know, now, like when you're asking me that question, I'm like, ooh, but I think it doesn't come front to mind because that's stuff that I do every day now.
take
And
it for
it's things
granted.
that, yeah, and it's stuff that I don't have to think about anymore.
Right.
You know what I
Second
mean? Like
nature is what I
before,
meant, not like take it for granted, but like second nature.
yeah, yeah. And it's just like, okay, cool. And it's really interesting just to be able to like sit here and see like, okay, this is how I am now, but still be able to refer back to like, oh, wow, it is so incredibly different to how I was like 7 years ago. And everything that used to be like so normal, I can't even imagine doing now. And thinking, you know, like if somebody told me like 10 years ago, like, dude, one day one day it's all gonna be good. You just gotta like put in the work and girl do it. I'd be like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. And then now that I'm on the other side of it, I'm like, oh, this is just like this is the life that I've created. And damn, I love it. And I'm also so proud of myself for all of the work that I put into it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's night and day. Like, I mean, I know for me, I look back at who I was and how I treated myself and stuff, and I can't even, it's like I remember, but I'm also this like brand new version. And I didn't even have the capability because of how little I appreciated or loved myself. Like, I couldn't even do things like really care about my appearance, or if I smelled good or bad, or like have a skincare routine, or like any of that kind of stuff, you know? So yeah, the work, it gets you to a point where you are a new kind of like version, and then you're just taking better care of yourself and better care of your environment, your loved ones, like others that you come across with in your cipher. Like, it's just wild how it just, it's like a wellspring, and it just keeps like springing out, you know? Like, it's really cool how it, like we keep saying, it starts from within. But I think until you really live that and really like see it with your own two eyes, it's hard for people to like comprehend that. Because like you said earlier in your interview, like your story that you were sharing, you know, you were like, I was always looking for the external. And I think that's everybody. I don't think anyone doesn't struggle with that until they're like aware of it and capable of observing that about themselves, and then switching it to where they're intrinsically seeking rather than extrinsically, you know? So it's all like, it's just really cool. I could talk about this stuff all day.
I know, girl, me too.
I know. Well, that's why I was like,
Same.
that was why I was like, she's gonna be a great like first guest to have, because, you know, like I just know you get it. And like even when you talk in our group and everything, like I'm always excited to hear what you're gonna say. I always know that you're gonna be so like uplifting, and that you have like
Thank you.
words of life that you're gonna speak into whoever you're talking to in the group, you know, whether that's in the comments on Substack or in the group calls. Like, you know, it's just, I love, like I said earlier, I love your vibe, and I just know that you bring so much life to the table, and I just love that about you.
Oh, thank you.
You're
That makes
welcome.
my heart so happy. I really appreciate it. I
I'm
receive I
good.
received that.
Oh yeah, please do, please. I'm like giving it your vibe. Okay, I have a few more questions if that's okay.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So, what's a way that you've been keeping your word to yourself lately? And this is a two-part question. So, I'll just give you the second part too. So what's a way that you've been keeping your word to yourself lately? And why do you think keeping your word to yourself is important in the first place?
Okay. So last September, when my husband and I went on our anniversary trip, we went over to Amsterdam and we're like planning out, like, okay, what do we want to do like next year for our anniversary and da da da. And I mean, of course, we're like having fun and in the moment and everything. But I decided that I wanted to go to Puerto Rico and that I wanted to learn Spanish and be able to communicate with people. So I decided I wanted to do that for my birthday. So keeping like my word, with actually like saying this is what I want to do. I have to hold myself very accountable to the habit of practicing Spanish daily. So I have missed a couple of days. It hasn't been every single day, but basically since January and some of last year, but since January, I have practiced Spanish almost every single day. So just like that's an example that, this is something in the past where I'd be like, I want to do it. And then, meh, never mind. You know what I mean? But now I'm like, okay, the goal that I want to have is going somewhere for my birthday where I can speak Spanish. And it was going to be Puerto Rico. It has since changed. We're going to Cancun. So yeah, I was like, actually want the resort, little pampering situation. So we decided to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the vacation is set. I have until December 5th when I level up again. To continue on my goal. And there have been times that I have not wanted to keep my word with, learning Spanish, but I do it almost every single day. And yeah, I'm proud of myself because I don't know that learning a second language is something that's very easy just to be like, whatever, you know what I mean? So, which is what I would have done like way back when.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like you're up for the challenge and it's like a way to expand yourself and your horizons, and that's super loving. Like it's definitely the more loving thing to do. Okay, so do you want to speak at all on why you think keeping your word is important? Like keeping your word to yourself, like for maybe people who don't really understand the importance or concept of that?
So I mean, I guess this doesn't really relate to like language learning, but
No,
in the
sure it does.
broader sense. Okay. Well, okay, so basically like that's an experience, like I'm creating the life I want to be living. That's an
Yeah.
experience that I want to have. So I have to honor myself with like, you actually want to do this, right? And it's like, yeah, okay, then you have to put in the work. And that goes with everything. That goes in like if we want to level up our career, if we want to level up like a relationship that we have or our love life or the connection with our partner or a friendship, like you have to put in the work and basically just, I mean, show up for yourself because you're either going to show up for yourself and do the thing that you need to do to get to where you want to be, or you're not. And if you don't really want the thing, then that's fine. Like, but just know that everything does take effort, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be
100%.
like horrible, like this doesn't have to be like, oh, I don't want to do it. But it does take the component of like, you have to show up and I mean, you're worth it. So if you decide you want something, you got to show it to yourself that you're worthy of going after it.
100%. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that, especially the last sentence. Like, you got to know that you're worth it and keep doing it. And you're the only one that's going to convince yourself that you're worth it, right? And you show others how worth it you are by how worth it you treat yourself, pretty much, you know? So,
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like letting other people know. Like when you just said that, it reminded me of you let people know how you are going to be treated, right? Like the treatment
100%.
that we take in from others is like, hey, I'm either going to accept this or I'm not. And that's also kind of where boundaries come into play and just having boundaries and then being able to like implement them. Because those are like two different things.
Yeah,
Like
no,
you can have
yeah.
boundaries, but if you don't use them, then
It's
mm.
true. They're like that one of the hardest things about life. Or they're not hardest, but like they're a challenge, I think, for everybody. And like when you need them, when you need to like put them in enact them, put them in place and enact them. Like you said, they're two different things, but they're like hard to figure out, and then hard to like navigate around and not let anybody like permeate them, like, or
Hmm.
penetrate them,
Hmm.
I guess. Yeah, I feel that
Yeah.
100%.
And I feel like taking action in general is like something that is difficult, right? Because we can know, like for me, like I knew everything for years and years and years about how to recover and what I needed to do. But the thing was, I didn't do anything to recover. Like I knew what I had to do, but I didn't implement anything. And that's like one of the reasons why I stayed sick for so long. And then when I started implementing the things, which is obviously what you have to do with any goal, that's where you start to see the changes and make the changes, and like in my experience, like have the recovery and get to a state where you're able to manage more and take on more and just expand. And then for me, like I recovered from the eating disorder, and it's like, oh my God, what else can I do? And I didn't have that before because it was so like closed. There was nothing outside of it. and and yeah, just like taking the first step of like, okay, I know the thing, but now I got to do the thing. And doing the thing can be hard, but it's worth it. Like,
No,
yeah.
those are really
But
juicy. I wrote both of those down because I'm like, we need to come back to these as like a separate discussions, like in and of themselves, because I think boundaries is like a whole another discussion. And like you said, it's like enacting and establishing them are completely different things. And then taking action when you know what you need to do, but some things like causing you to self-sabotage, like I feel like everybody's been through that kind of thing, and I just feel like these are really juicy, and we could have like completely separate discussions about both of these things.
girl, I'm here for it.
All right, well, we will. I'm like, I wrote them down, so they're in here, so that means it's set in stone. Okay. How well do you currently know yourself? And this is like, so I'll just read you all the questions. How well do you currently know yourself? Do you know everything there is to know, or is there more to uncover? And how will you facilitate this? Or why do you feel like um, you already know everything?
Oh my God, I love you. You go so deep. It's like amazing. Yeah, oh my God. Okay, so I feel like I know myself pretty well, but I think there's always gonna be more that I'm like uncovering. And I mean, I know I know me. I know the basics. I know like, I don't know. It's really hard to put into words. Hmm. I I know that I am always with me no matter what, like 100% of the time. Like if there is a hardship, like I keep doing this, but like literally, girl, I got you. Like I am, I'm here. I'm here. I'm never going to leave. Like, I'm sorry that in the past I have, and these are literally words that I've said to myself, like the apology, right? Like forgiving myself, like previous things that I've done. Like, I'm so sorry that I've abandoned you in the past. I'm so sorry that I put you second, but I love you and I'm here for you. And no matter what the circumstances are, like, we have this. I will wipe your tears. I will hug you. I will kiss your cheeks. I am always going to be here, like literally holding your hand. And that to me is just like, I don't know, like I know I'm always going to be supporting me. And there have been challenges along the way, and there will be more. Like, I mean, we've talked about it in Queendom and whatnot, but like I've health things. Like I've had my cornea transplant and other eye surgeries and whatnot, and that's all like very difficult. And just the fear of, something happening with my vision again, that kind of, I mean, that's scary. And I've got me, right? Like, I mean, I have my husband for support as well, but I know that I'm always going to be here with me, and just no matter what the circumstances are.
I love that. And I mean, I was gonna say, like, if you would want to have a separate conversation too about your medical stuff, because also you have a medical background. It's not just like your own um encounters with like medical struggles, but you also have like a medical background. So I don't know if that's something you would be open to talk about another time, but because I was wondering like how much you were gonna like sprinkle that in or not, but I feel like that's also a really big deal that could help a lot of people to hear your story about that too, if you would be willing to share it at some point.
Yeah, of course. And like, I mean, what I said in the beginning, like the vulnerability, like these are things I probably wouldn't have talked about, like 10 years ago. But when I decided to start talking about my eating disorder and my recovery and all of that stuff, and I created my YouTube channel, like that was like the next step for me. That was the full release of like any shame that I had previously felt regarding the eating disorder. And even just to tell, like, I mean, people now, like, oh, yeah, I had an eating disorder. Like, that's something that a lot of people with an eating disorder who either have one or who have recovered, they're not going to say that. And I don't want that to be the norm. You know what I mean? We all go through hard things, it's inevitable. And I'm never going to look at anybody different because of a freaking hardship that they went through, like that's asinine. And I don't think that other people should do that either. And here's the other thing, like if somebody wants to judge me for that or look at me differently because like, I've had an eating disorder, okay, that's fine. Like that you do you, but like I love me and that's all that matters. It's like I value and I adore the opinion of myself and the relationship that I have with me. And if you don't, then okay, that's fine. But
Mm.
like, I mean, when it comes to me, I'm the important one, like me and me, like I'm important. So as
Right.
long as I'm just, being who I am and expressing myself and that feels in alignment, then and that does go along with like the reason why I didn't bring up the eye stuff and medical stuff is because it's just it's a lot, it's long, but I would totally be willing to talk about that in the
Okay.
future.
Yeah, we'll definitely hit that at some point too, because I know this is like one of many discussions, like I without a doubt in my mind, just because, like I said, you're always that, and I guess that's part of my response to what you just said too. It's like even though you're going to talk about these things, or we're going to talk about these things, it's from such like an empowering standpoint. You know what I mean? Like it's from a
Mhm.
solution oriented standpoint. Like you've already done the work. You've already put in the time, the research, the resources, like whatever it took to get you through these hurdles and things like that. So, it's there's so much power in that for whoever is going to listen, because not only have you done all that, but like you're willing to share it, and that's the intent in what we're like doing here. So I just feel like it's really big, because it could just help a lot of women or people in general, but especially obviously we love the girlies on this channel.
Ladies.
Yeah, all the ladies. Ding, 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 ding. No, I don't know. Sorry, it's like a Beastie Boys song from Paul's Boutique, like an old album from back in the day, but not everybody likes the Beastie Boys, but I digress. Um, so the next question, I only have, I think, two more. So what and or who are your inspirations for your self-love practice? Do you ever have a hard time staying motivated to be and remain self-loving? What specifically can make it hard for you to stay on track?
So my inspiration would be Roxy. I'm always tuning into her and just, I mean, she's just always leveling up. She's always giving me something to be like, oh, I didn't consider that. Or with her writing challenges, it's always giving me the opportunity to go deeper with myself to where I'm like, oh, yeah, interesting, love this. Um, and so really Roxy, like, and then honestly, like, I mean, you girls too, everybody else in the Courage Club, like I gained so much inspiration from everybody else and just love and support. And yeah, I don't know, like I love the community of women and just getting to, even in the hard times, like just be there and just hold space for everybody. Also, V, side note, I'm sorry, I like squirrel a lot. I'm like kind of do.
No, you're
Okay,
good.
remind me what the second question is. I'm not good at the 1 and then 2 and
I
3
know.
all
Well, and
together.
I'm like, all like this and that, this question and that question. Like it's like one of those Dutch eggs or whatever, like full of questions. So I apologize. Actually, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, don't be sorry. I just like have a hard time retaining things sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a long ass question. I wouldn't expect you to. Okay, so do you ever have a hard time staying motivated to be and remain self-loving?
Okay. I feel like yes, when something happens like with my eyes or something, maybe I shouldn't say yes. I don't think that I fall completely out of self-love, but I think that when a challenge with that poses to threaten my vision comes up, it does present difficulties with me remaining in a sense of like love and calm and harmony because I revert more to like, oh my gosh, fear of what could happen and also just sadness and anger sometimes. I mean, there's a lot that goes along with having like chronic health conditions that unfortunately, chronic health conditions have acute exacerbations and that makes it really difficult. So, that can kind of get me in a space where I'm just feeling very scared for my future or hopeless. But then I have to bring it back to honestly like being here and now in the present and focusing on gratitude really helps me get out of that space. Like that's a tool that I utilize because it's like, okay, if I think about like the negatives that could happen, that's only going to put me in a negative mental headspace. I'm not there yet. This is not happening. Let me get back to just trying to create like harmony and support within myself because again, like I'm always there. I always have myself, but it's hard when something medically comes up for me.
For
So
sure.
that's like a testament. And then it, just being able to honestly have a refractory period that is a lot better than it had been in the past, where it's like, okay, feel the feels, and that's fine because your feelings are your feelings and you have to feel them and you have to work through them. And it doesn't mean that they're bad. And, I don't want to stay in that feeling though. So the refractory period of like, okay, I'm going through this, like, fear, anger, anxiety, sadness, like just that kind of stuff. Okay, get it, feel it, express it, release it. And then let's get back to baseline and harmony of like where I want to be emotionally.
Yeah, no, and that's a really valid point because the stronger you get in your self-love practice, that refractory period does shorten. Because, like, I know in the past I had times when, like, if I was spiraling out, it could be for weeks, it could be for like a month. Like now, and no, and like you're saying, no one's saying don't feel your feels. Like that we're human, that's what we're here to do. But yeah, like the more self-loving you are, the less you want to kind of like relinquish like power to that state and like quickly find like a state that's more empowering and is gonna like thrust you towards like the things you're trying to do and want to do. So I completely relate to that. And it is like refreshing because also whereas certain things could have set me off at the drop of a hat, like now it's like, little chinks in the armor maybe, and I'm just like, whatever, you know what I mean? Because you start to feel differently about it too. So yeah, those are like really valid points. I get that. Um, what specifically can make it hard for you to stay on track? Like if you're like in that, because I guess that's kind of like a redundant question, but like if you're in that refractory period, is there anything that could pull you in and keep you there, or do you feel like you're able to pretty much like pull yourself out of that?
Well, I would say honestly, like my husband is really supportive. He's really good at like just being my support person for everything that's gone on with my eyes. And he goes to like literally every single appointment that I have. And he's really good at helping me not exacerbate a mental scenario. And if I allow myself to go into the rabbit hole and really like just think about like everything that could go wrong, that's where I'm going to be stuck, and that's where I'm going to like remain in that space. Um, and yeah, I do, I rely on my husband to
No, that's good.
help me get out of that, because right, it's like part of having like healthy relationships. And
Yeah.
I have friends that I can talk to about it, and I do, but he's always like here with me. So sometimes, like, the health stuff, like I don't um that's the health stuff is hard. Like the health, it just is. And if I want to say this about like if an eating disorder thing came up, like let me use the example of when I had COVID and I lost my sense of taste and smell. I could have stayed in that eating disorder light switch of like, hey, I'm back. You know what I mean? Like, hey, we're just like re-amplified. But I had the tools. So like just being able to know how to take care of myself, and literally like with eating disorder recovery, it's do the exact opposite thing of what the eating disorder wants you to do all of the time. So if it's like, hey, the way that you're going to feel better is if you skip this meal, it's like, no, now I got to eat right now. Like just that as like one of the things. But not previously like having those tools to be able to implement like that's when I would have just been like in a full relapse of the eating disorder and not being able to get myself out of it.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I mean, I think it's beautiful that your husband is strong enough to hold that space for you and show up for you and be there for you. Like, obviously, he's really in his like divine masculine if he's able to like support you through that. Cause I think there's a lot of men out there who might not even know where to begin to like even hold space or like intend for you to
Yeah.
be okay in his like care, so to speak, you know? So that's really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And with the eating disorder, like that was a learning process for him. Like he didn't know anything about it or how to like help me through it. So I, kind of had to be open and honest with him and let him know the support that I needed and how to help me through it. And that's part of like having like an open relationship where you're just very like, hey, I need this. And then the other person is like, okay, I can do this for you, because you're actually like able to express what it is that you need, like I didn't make him do like any guesswork
Right.
and
The
I'd done that,
communication. Yeah.
yeah, the
Like
communication, the key. And yeah, just like, and that's honestly like one way that I think that he's really good at helping me like through eye stuff is just me being like, I need, or in the past. I mean, it's been a long time, right? Like my husband and I have been together for like 13 or 14 years. So we've learned each other very well. And this will be our 8th year of marriage. So it's just the constant of like, I need this, and him being receptive to that, or I don't know, just building the relationship of helping each other and supporting each other.
that's awesome. I wrote that down as another topic for another conversation that we have to have.
Okay. Yeah, because see
'Cause
what I mean? I'm like squirreling. I just like, oh, this is a da 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 da.
no, I love it. But yeah, because it is important for you to have, I mean, everybody needs social support, whatever that looks like, you know, and healthy relationships and being able to discern those, I think, are part of your self-love journey too. But that's why I was like, that would be a good topic for us to broach one of these times, you know?
Oh, yes, I love it.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you're down.
Dude, seriously, like I'm down for anything and talk about anything. I freaking love you, and I love
Yeah.
your vibes. So I'm down. I'm 100%, 110% thoroughly enjoying this.
All
So
right, good. I'm glad. We have one more, obviously, question within a question, but one more of those.
okay, hit me with the first one.
Okay, I will. So, where do you think you would be today if you never found a self-love practice?
Okay, for real though, dead. Yeah.
I relate. I
And,
relate.
like I don't, Sorry, the audio broke up.
Oh, I said I relate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I'm not being like hee hee lightly about that, but yeah, if I did not learn to love myself, I would not be here. And that is why it is so important to me to like continue to nourish this relationship and make sure that I'm always like, you know, I'm not selfish when I say this, but I do put myself first, right? Like I'm very like, what do you need? What do you want? What will fill you up? How can I be here to assist you? Like I actually ask myself these questions and make sure that I'm doing the things that I need to do and want to do. Like there's no neglect. And had I've continued to neglect myself with the eating disorder and not learned who I am and learned how to love who I am and trust like me and hear and respect me, I wouldn't be here. It's like I would just be dead.
Right. Yeah, I completely relate to that, and I'm really happy that you recovered, because I obviously cherish your presence in my life, and I'm just glad that you were strong enough to beat it and do what you needed to do and continue to do that. And it's inspiring, and just hearing you even talk about, the importance of how can I be there for me right now? Like what do I need to do for myself? It's like I think there's so many people, myself included, when I was not in like a self-love practice or anything, it's like you wouldn't even think to ask yourself that question. And yet it's like the most important relationship that you will ever have with anyone, because it's what all of your other relationships stem from, like
Yeah.
it's just wild. So it's like a good reminder. And I think also in like the hustle and bustle of life, like we have so many stressors and things like that, it's really easy to lose sight of just how to really show up for yourself. So it's a good
Mhm.
reminder for me to hear too right now. It's like
Yeah.
never being so busy that you don't do that kind of, have those kinds of conversations with yourself or do those types of things for yourself. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Um, what are you most grateful for that is the most or starkest difference from like where you were at the beginning versus where you are now?
How I feel like just in life, like how I go about my day and the experience that I'm having internally, like how I feel with myself. Because, like you just said, like who we are and we affect everything else in our life. Like the relationship we have with ourselves affect is, it's going to show up in the relationship that we have with other people, in our career, in our finances. It shows up within all that stuff. So just how I feel now and just actually harmony and love, it's that's what I'm most grateful for.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, I hated, right? Like I was afraid to be with myself. Like I was so afraid to be with myself. I would work extra so that I wouldn't have to, like sit with me. Like the thought of doing that was just terrifying. I would rather do anything else than like actually listen to what I needed, which at like, back then at that time that was like recover.
Yeah. No, I totally relate to that. And I sometimes I even have, can you hear that noise or okay,
I
good.
can't hear any of the
All
noise.
right, good, because it's just like it's so loud for me. Sometimes I think about the ways that I like abandoned myself or didn't show up for myself so horribly or was just so abusive to myself, whether that was through self-deprecation or just straight up drug and alcohol use, and not even just like use, but like abuse, and I'm just like what the heck was I thinking? And you it for me, it just makes me want to be even more there for me now. You know what I mean? Because it's like
Mhm.
I want to make up for that lost time of when I didn't have that capability, or that, thank God for all the women in my life who helped me to understand that so late in life, like unfortunately not really having that ability to have that kind of stuff modeled to me when I was younger. It's like I'm just grateful that I had women to model that kind of thing to me now. And yeah, just kind of make up for lost time. It just makes me want to love myself more like fiercely. And like I don't know that every person, especially if they're at the beginning of their self love journey, if they're really gonna clock that, you know what I mean? But I feel like you definitely, like from what you said, I know you get it. And yeah, it's just like when you're at a certain point way later, like you will clock that and you'll be like, I totally get what she's saying. Like it's because it's not an arrogance. And I think so many times people can interpret it as that or like a cockiness or something, but it's like it couldn't be more humble because it's like I just want
Yeah.
everybody to feel that exact thing that you're talking about. I want everybody to feel better and understand the difference and understand that they were functioning from such like a low bar and then have that like epiphany to where they're functioning from like a way higher standard that is just so good for them and their loved ones and like the world. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yes, yes.
yeah, so that's beautiful. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any more questions, but if you have anything else that you want to share, I would love to hear anything that you want to impart on us with your wisdom.
No, I'm just like so happy to know you and so grateful again, like for Roxy, because if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't know each other. And yeah, I'm so inspired by you and I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, likewise. I totally feel the same way. And it is a true gift and I will always cherish it. Or and to anyone who's like, what are they on like drugs or something? It's like, no, you just have to come right with us, you know, and be with us and like actually put in the work of doing the writing and like the muscle of like sharing vulnerably. It takes like a lot of strength, you know. We're different transformed women because we did all this work, and you can be like that too, and you can literally feel like you're on a drug by just being in love with yourself.
I That's a good way to put it, like for real. Yeah, just to like feel joy like as your baseline, you know? And
Yeah,
again, like that doesn't mean that there aren't hardships and there aren't and like shit's still difficult. Things are still difficult. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like there's still going to be challenges. There's still stuff that comes up all the time, but it's a different way that you navigate through it when you have the loving relationship with yourself and you like really have taken the time to get to know, love, trust, respect, accept, admire, like all of the things about you. And yeah, I mean, even that right now, like that, saying that, that's like I'm validating myself, you know, like I don't need somebody else to validate me. Like it's coming from within because the relationship is there and it's real.
right.
And yeah, it feels so good. And I never thought it would be possible.
Yeah,
So
same.
that's like
Yeah,
another thing. I feel like I've said that so many times on Queen. I'm like, I just never thought this would be possible. And
I
like, here
agree.
we are.
Yeah, it is wild. Yeah, because like I was trying to say before, it's like you can't know it till you go through it, and then you just will clock it, and you'll be like, I can't. You'll just be like a totally different version of yourself, and like you know, obviously love and appreciate all the past versions of yourself, but like
Mhm.
you'll just be like, I can't relate to whatever she was doing. That was just so like out of focus from actually being self-loving and just like like you said having a foundation of joy in like everything that you're doing in your life because life is for the living, right? Like oh, life is for the living, like meaning you could take it two different ways. Like number one, like life is for the living because it's here today in the present moment. You're not promised tomorrow, so you might as well live as fully as you can today. But also like life is for the living because not everybody is here and gets to live. You know, like I have a lot of passed away family members, and that's one thing I always keep really close to heart is like, I want to live on fire because they never got the chance to, you know what I mean? And like, I will live on purpose because I know that life is a gift. It's not this like trudgery or like whatever modern society and culture and media is like making it out to be. It's like, it's a gift, you know, and you need to grab it by the balls and live it. So.
For sure. Yeah, that's yes. Oh my God. Nicely put. Grab by the balls. Go.
I guess those are some really far apart balls, or like, I don't know, together. Oh my God, I can't. Word.
Okay, the one more thing, like when we talk about like looking back on like our past self and everything and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like, do you agree? Like, do you feel compassion for that girl, that woman that you once
Yes.
were? Like, yeah.
And I feel responsibility towards her. And I think that for me, a big part of my self-love practice has been inner child work. And the
Mhm.
way I understand it is you have a big and you have a little. You have like a bigger kid who's maybe like an adolescent or like 12 years old, something like that. And you have a little kid who was like a really little innocent, like super helpless child version of yourself who like had some crazy it might have not even been crazy things. It's just that when you're that young and that helpless, like you can only understand the world through your primary caretakers, you know. And I think a lot of life past the age of like 18, 20, let's say, is you just learning how to reparent yourself and kind of like delving back into certain things from your past that you have to recover from or whatever, and things that you did, things that you went through. And I'm talking like all phases of life. But you know, that big and that little kid, they're always there, like, and they've been there with you through every thing you did, whether it was good or bad or in between, like they were there. So it's like I have a relationship with each one of them. I have a relationship with myself. And then, yes, I hold compassion for every version of myself. I know that, like Roxy teaches us all the time, it's like even who we are now is going to bring us to who we're going to be in the future, a more actualized version of ourselves. But I mean, the whole process is just profound, like experience being alive, being here. It's like, it's very sacred and profound, and life is happening through you. It's not happening to you. And I think it's like all of that stuff is like intermingled to give you this really profound experience of being alive. And like, for whatever reason, as humans, we have a predilection to want to like share that with each other, you know? And so it's like, I want to get better at that. And I want to do that and have like purpose and meaning and a standard of excellence behind everything that I'm doing. So yeah, even when I was like drunk and drugged out of my mind or whatever, and like partying all the time and abusing my body and abusing my chance to do all those things, like I understand where she was at. You know, it's like I have the self-awareness and the retrospection to be like, I understand where she was and why she was doing those things, you know. And of course I hold compassion for her, but I think we're always becoming someone new, you know, and you always have the chance to reinvent things and shed old habits and shed old skins that just don't suit you. And um, you hold compassion for the past versions, for the present version, and you thank the future version for like roping you into the new, better stuff, you know?
Yeah, and I think everybody needs to like really listen to that about also like you have the opportunity to reinvent. Like and like that's what we keep saying, like we're creating the life that we want to be living, like future self-oriented, like you you're not stuck in your past, and have compassion for that woman and have forgiveness and hold empathy, and then have so much love for yourself now that it's just like, hey girl, where you want to go, because I'm gonna take you there, like we're doing it, like just come at it that way. And yeah, know that what you want is possible, right? Like it's where it kind of started with like goals, like what's your goal and what's your why.
Yeah. Hmm. No, 100%. It's like trust the trajectory and the process and all of that too. And it's beautiful. I really honor your journey and where you're at. I'm like stoked that we get to be on it together, even if it's tangentially or from 2,000 miles away or whatever. Like the internet is crazy. Like here we are. But
I
yeah,
love it.
yes, it's like super awesome. But thank you so much for your time today and being here. And is there anything else that you want to share before we? Okay. And then I guess let everybody know where
Much
they
love.
can. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I am terrible. Look at my heart is all deformed. No, I'm joking. Oh my God. Tell everybody where they can find you and stuff.
Okay, so on my YouTube channel, it is called Time to Shine, and it's at shine.brightlife. So a lot of my videos are about eating disorder recovery, and then also like sprinkled in there self-love, tips and tricks on, self-love and basically, yeah, creating the life that you want to be living. And like for me, that's being bright. So hence the shine.brightlife.
Yes. Well, you are one of the brightest I've ever known. So thank you for being a bright light in this world. And I cherish you. I cherish our friendship. I cherish our little group of women. I hope some of the listeners will consider coming to join us and write with us. And thank you so much for your time and for being here. I'm sending you all my love. Always, Zariah.
You too. Love you so much. Mwah.
Love you too. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, my babes, that is the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, share a video with a pal who you think would resonate, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I am sending all of my love as per usual. Bye.
To believe you gotta let go. Light as a feather, light as a feather. Lucid dreaming over Tokyo.